Good morning.
All right, good morning. So let's get started this morning with our very first speaker. I think that we have an unbelievable lineup of speakers for the conference this year. We're super excited to have all of you back and appreciate you coming. The group of speakers that we have this year, I'm telling you, the thing I'm really proud about, and I've said this a couple of times, I think, since I've been here at the beach since yesterday. We really have sort of a celebrity group of sleep people who are going to be with us during the next day and a half. And anyone who's involved in LinkedIn and sleep, and you're involved in sleep medicine on LinkedIn, you're probably going to recognize some of the folks who are here because they're very active in social media and promoting the field of sleep medicine. Our very first speaker, we're going to love him, but we're also going to be pretty jealous of him. The issue is that he gets to spend most of the time in the Caribbean, and so our first speaker is Gregory Arneaud. He is the CEO and he's also the sales director for ISC Health Solutions. He provides all the sleep services that he provides are in the various islands in the Caribbean, and he spends lots of time there. In fact, he's leaving right after this conference to go right back there for some training with some patients tomorrow in one of the islands. So we're pretty jealous that he gets to spend all the time down in the Caribbean, but we're very appreciative that he came and joined us today. Please give a round of applause for Gregory.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It is a pleasure to be here amongst some esteemed respiratory therapists, sleep technicians, physicians, and representatives from various medical companies. Am I getting a little feedback on this? How's that? Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, great. It's truly a privilege, as I mentioned, being in a group of professionals who are pivotal in the lives of many, helping to improve their sleep by identifying ways of how we can get them more educated to understand how to be tested and how to be treated. It's probably easier to be said than done that many of us come from a lot of different places, various industries, various types of educational backgrounds. As Rob mentioned to you, I do get the privilege to travel to the Caribbean, and it's not as what you think. Doing business in the Caribbean is nothing like vacation. Completely different side of the fence, so to say. There's such a huge need for the understanding of sleep and the impact that it has on overall health. But unfortunately, due to the lack of expertise, knowledge, education, awareness in these particular areas, people are dying from obviously the different types of conditions related to untreated sleep apnea, insomnia, and sleep deprivation. I spent roughly about 25 years in the space as a respiratory therapist. Any respiratory therapists here in the room? All right. How about any sleep techs? And how many are medical professionals, physicians, and/or reps for various counties? Very good. You all know what it takes. We've all been there. We've all had to deal with problematic patients, systems that change from day to day, reimbursement cuts, technology that's maybe a step above the one that you're currently selling, the competitive market that we all have to deal with. And we're all here for probably one or two different reasons. One is to provide for our families. We're here to obviously make a living, and we have to have on that hat that says we always got to be closing. And our mentality, obviously, is to be able to be successful in bringing home the bacon, so to say. But being 25 years in the space as a respiratory therapist, I've had the pleasure of being on pretty much all sides of the fence. I worked in the hospitals of Adventure Hospital in Miami, Florida. Anybody from Miami? Nobody from Miami? Only from Miami? Miami, Florida, Holy Cross Hospital, eventually moving into the DME space. I'm the center manager for Limb Care in Kissimmee, Florida, in Orlando. Anybody from Orlando? Anybody know Orlando? Go to Disney World? Okay, I know South Carolina's nice, but there's other places you can visit as well. At the same time, I was given the opportunity by a gentleman by the name of Casey Stevenson. Not sure if anybody remember this company, but it was a company named Evo Medical. Anybody know Evo Medical? Just by show of hands, how many people have been in the space for 5 years, at least 5 years in the space of sleep? How about those who have been in the space of sleep for at least 10 years? 15 years or more? 20 years or more? You're showing your age. Put your hands down. Isn't it been a joy to be into something that is changing lives every day? You've seen the revolution of how things have come to pass over the years. One of the things I was privileged to be a part of is the growth, I guess, of this industry that we're looking at today in home sleep testing. Those of you who may have remembered the WatchPat 100, I actually brought one here today. I was able to dig one up. Please don't tell I have it still. Believe it or not, this was a device that we sold back in 2006. The diagnosis was sleep apnea. Imagine trying to get a doctor, a sleep lab, a particular patient to put this on and wear this device that was Velcro off the sleeve with a probe and a pulse oximeter on one hand. That was going to be the replacement of a sleep lab. And the price of this was not something that you probably guess what this cost of this device cost back in 2006? $5,000. And this probe was $100. And you had one time to get this right. This probe came off the finger, test was done. So this was a pretty significant challenge, considering when I walked into sleep labs and spoke to physicians who looked at this technology as taboo, like, what is this? That's some kind of voodoo you're bringing here. Peripheral arterial tenometry. It was a technology that was brought from Israel, and it helped to better understand the relationship of apneic events that occurred based on measuring sympathetic activation, flight or flight response associated when patients obviously had hypoxemia, heart rhythm going up, adrenaline releasing, and able to capture this on the back end as opposed to catching it on the front end through nasal cannulas and grip belts and various types of measurement tools. So entering the market, working with Innomar really changed my life, leaving from the DME space of managing a limb care to moving into the medical device space and partnering with Evo Medical to kind of create a solution that obviously was disruptive medicine at that time. Because the traditional pathway was to do what? Go from your doctor, send you to a specialist send you to a sleep lab, you get to meet your sleep tech for the night. You get to know your patient for about 45 minutes as you're trying to put different measurements on their heads, their legs, their arms, and eventually hopefully allowing them to get to sleep to get some vital information to be able to determine whether or not they were suffering from a sleeping disorder. Pretty challenging. When we think about technology and how it's evolved over the years, it's amazing to see what I'm looking at today. I mean, there's devices you put on your finger, on your chin, on your sides. We are all wearing Apple Watches now and Fitbits to identify through wearable technology how our sleep patterns and if there could be any potential risk. But that ability to come into this market with a groundbreaking technology was quite a challenge. At the same time, it led to an even better opportunity that came as I was at the ground level with the development team of Watermark Medical. Anybody here from React Health? Anybody using the Aries device? The Aries device, using the Aries device? Well, I was there when it started. It started in Carlsbad, California, under the name of a gentleman by the name of Dan Lewandowski. He was the advanced brain monitoring engineer and inventor of this technology that was able to monitor from the forehead, being able to determine obviously body positioning, snoring, heart rate, oxygen saturation, nasal cannula, but had no rib belt, but was able to determine obviously through respiratory changes on the head from breathing to determine if central apneas or potential obstructive apnea was taking place. This technology was manufactured in Carlsbad, California, and under the direction of Charlie Alvarez and Sean Heinecker at that particular time, who are now the owners of React Health. This technology was the first home sleep testing device that actually gave us the convenience of testing patients in their home and allowing this information to be uploaded to a portal where doctors from various locations could be able to address this information, provide interpretations and recommendations. I think that's standard today, would you say? Not in 2009 when it all started. So this journey, as I got to learn more about various ways of diagnosing patients in the convenience of their home and providing therapy, obviously working in the DME space, led to me to understand that there was an opportunity to take this technology somewhere where it's never been before, to the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, where my parents are from, Trinidad and Tobago. Any Chinese? Any Jamaicans? Guyanese? We're all Americans in here. Okay. I am. I've served in the United States Air Force for 4 years active duty. And I salute you all as Americans. We obviously have a privilege that many don't. And one of these is the ability to be able to have access to healthcare, access to information, technology, and some of the things that they did not have is what I felt I needed to bring to the forefront. Having had a grandmother who snored like a bear, and I'm sure a lot of us know somebody that does, even yourself, that may have identified that, you know what, this is not a good way to live, yourself or your bedside partner. But unfortunately, at that time, my grandmother snores was a joke for my brothers and I. We would just love to come by the door when she slept at it. Noise of like poltergeist things was flying all over the room. And we come to understand that that's just who Granny was. I remember actually going to my mother. This was my first introduction to snoring. And I asked my mom, why does Granny make this sound every time she goes to sleep? She doesn't do it while she's awake. But fortunately, later on, as I became a respiratory therapist, and I can say it fortunately now, but unfortunately at that time, we had no idea what that sound was and what that was being a cry for help. In this particular case, I lost my grandmother to watching her go through all of the current disease processes that take place by being overweight, having hypertension, eventually having dementia, and having glaucoma. And she ended up passing. Watching that and later becoming a respiratory therapist and learning about this condition called sleep disorder breathing and/or sleep apnea, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, wow, I was laughing at my grandmother. We were making jokes about this, and some of us still do today. When someone dozes off in an inappropriate place, like on an airplane or somewhere, even coming over here, we sometimes see people nodding off, and it's like there's another person that needs some help, right? But this was what triggered the passion within me to take this technology of the watermark device to the Caribbean to try to start a business called Island Sleep Diagnostics. With this information that I had, it allowed me to be able to provide, once again, a solution for the many issues related to sleep apnea, as we talked about the chronic illnesses and non-communicable diseases that are attached to this and the prevalence of this, and allowed to make a difference in bridging the gap of the lack of understanding and information that was there to be able to diagnose these conditions. Eventually emerged from Island Sleep Diagnostics to now what is now known as ISD Health Solutions, allowed me once again to broaden the approach and the way that we would like to meet clients' needs in addressing those communicable diseases and symptoms that are associated with sleeping disorders. And today, I'm gratefully here to tell you that I published a book about 3 days ago. For those individuals who are here in the space that have been carrying the torch, within your respective organizations and companies that you work for, know that there's something more that you can actually be doing with your life, but you chose this. And there's a reason why you chose it. What is that reason? Was it that the only job that was available? Was it because, hey, my father had a business and I'm working for him, or I knew Rob and he gave me a job? What is it that got you into the space? It was the undying passion that you had to make a difference, that you had cutting edge technology at your fingertips and knowledge that most people are unaware of. And we have the ability to make a change and reimagine healthcare. Who would have thought? We would always probably think that revolutionizing healthcare came from either some amazing pill that was found or some innovative technology, some billion-dollar, type of facility that's going to be created that's going to change lives and improve it. But no, it's actually just empowering each other to sleep better, to live better, to have a healthier lifestyle. So this particular walk that I've come on has led me to an opportunity to be here amongst you today. Through the invitation here of Robert and to be able to have the platform that I've been given to speak to people, this has truly been a blessing to me and also the blessing to others. But as we're all here, and we know we're all here as sharks, we're all here as trying to be competitive in our brands, learning how to have a competitive edge. My brand is better than your technology is behind mine, and every day this technology is evolving. We have to understand there's a bigger why to what we're doing, and that every piece of information that we're able to gather, every advancement in this technology, every solution that we're able to come up with is going to impact the lives for years to come. Can we imagine 20 or 30 years from now where we will be? I mean, it's kind of scary to think about it with AI. and things that we're coming to think of as norm. I mean, I'm walking through airports every single day and putting my finger or my eyes on something and walking past it. I am now coming into countries too, and being able to see that you have an ability for face recognition picked up like this. Technology is emerging. One of the things that we have to understand in our market is that without us, healthcare can't get better. It cannot improve unless sleep is improved. Doesn't the doctor tell you in any particular situation to get some rest? But do we understand that the quality of the rest is actually more important than the quantity? And the ability to be able to do this through technology and allowing us to be able to identify our sleep staging from our light sleep to our deep sleep to our REM sleep cycles. All of these things are fascinating. Why? Because a third of our lives, we have no clue what happens. It's a non-recall state of mind. And we now have the ability to capture this data and educate persons about their disease states and how to give them more favorable outcomes and a better living for themselves and for their families. I'm looking back over these 25 years and I'm thinking to myself, I never thought I'd be here. I was just merely getting a job as a respiratory therapist with the girlfriend I had. Told me I needed to do more of my life. Go figure. And I did. And as a result of it, I was able to become a CRT, right? And from that point, I was able to get into the hospital, work with my mother. You know, that was probably one of the greatest things that she was proud of at that particular time, to tell all the doctors and everyone there, this is my son. This is my son. Imagine doing that every day. But at the same time, it brought me into an opportunity to move into home healthcare, as we talked about. And now moving into medical device sales and having the ability to make an impact in the way that I have, I would have never thought or dreamed that this was possible. But this opportunity, once again, is something that's not just awarded to us, but is a privilege. And it's a privilege that each and every one of us need to come together as a collective group to understand. Yet it's a competitive environment, but we're all here as pioneers, carrying this torch, making a difference in healthcare. We are reimagining healthcare. We are reducing hypertension. We are the ones that are taking the issues from the surgery centers and from the different various issues that patients are dealing with every day, and not understanding that sleep is the underlying root cause of these conditions. And then we came through a lot of challenges over these years. I put a lot of commented things up here just as a reminder of what it's like, considering what sleep labs are, and yet we still need sleep labs, right? We're not putting anybody out on the jobs, but imagine back in 2006 when I was out there with that piece of amazing technology being disruptive in the way that it was changing the pathway of taking patients from the lab to being diagnosed at home, and then lastly being put on autopath therapy. That kind of made the jobs of sleep tech somewhat obsolete. So the writing on the wall. I remember being thrown out of those labs. I remember getting a lot of pushback and resistance. But a lot of people were a little hesitant about bringing this technology into their work process, in fear that obviously it was going to affect their sales, business, or the reputation of some of their doctors. But today, it's actually being embraced. It was now an opportunity for us to make a difference in the lives of persons because we got a reimbursement code. I would never forget the day that we finally got a code. Could you imagine selling that dinosaur to a group of people with no reimbursement at all? And then looking at like, that's what? RDI, HI, through that. How is it possible? But like I said, through technology and innovation, what we've been able to have access to today, we are seeing things that are blowing our minds even more and more. We're all here to try to improve not just our own lives, but the lives of others. And we're trying to collectively understand that, you know what? This cannot be done unless I personally embrace the information first. How many people in this room with access to all the information that we have actually taken the sleep study? I would say that's about less than 10% of the people in this room. Would you ever work at Carvel? I remember Carvel, Baskin and Robbins. Would you ever work in an ice cream store and not take a taste of the ice cream? One day just take a scoop and no one's looking. You take advantage of the benefits you have, obviously working in the industry that you are, right? But how few do we find that people that are even in the space of sleep that understand the ramifications, the difficulties that people are dealing with around the world, take advantage of the very tools they have in their hand. I do empower everyone to take this initiative in your own space because your health is your own responsibility. You cannot help anybody else until you've helped yourself personally. And unfortunately, having lost my grandmother was my pain that became the gain of many today. My father obviously being a little bit resistant, I'll use that word, as coming from his son trying to get your parents. I don't know if you guys realize how difficult it is in the Caribbean family to get your parents to do something that didn't come through the orthodox way of how it should come from them on down. And try to educate my dad that sleep apnea is real. I tried to explain to him that oxygen, yes, I can't see it. We can't smell it. We can't hear it. You sure can't taste it. But if our body doesn't get it for about 3 minutes, we're having a nice ceremony, just like this, with a lot of flowers and everybody talking about what an amazing person we were. This is the reality of what oxygen means to us. And if COVID did not give us this indication that how serious oxygen is to our body, we're totally missing the mark. So I would implore that everyone understand the seriousness of this, because my father sat at the bedside as I flew back from Trinidad that evening, made one of the biggest mistakes I think I could have ever made in my career. I gave my dad some hypnotics. I gave him Ambien, Lunesta, all some of the supplements and things that we're taking today to try to sleep. I mean, half of us have all taken coffee to wake up. The other half is taking something to go to sleep, or even both. My dad was one of those persons who I diagnosed with sleep apnea using that same apnea risk evaluation system, the ARIES device, as I started this business, Island Sleep Diagnostics, and said, Dad, you got sleep apnea. I took advantage of the benefits of having this tool. He ignored it, like many of us do, with the writing being on the wall, but yet we tend to not want to know. There's no benefits without knowing. I know that we've always heard there's what you don't know won't hurt you. But I promise you, as we all know now, what you don't know can actually kill you. In this particular case, my father ended up having a stroke because I provided him some medication for his insomnia that he was complaining about. As you know, that this kind of goes hand in hand as we think about it. Most persons who have sleep apnea, about 30% of them have insomnia. And the problem is that if you medicate persons, as we know, you're going to exacerbate that issue, right? But being the obedient son I was trying to be, and the ability to be able to go into the Caribbean and without a prescription, I could walk into just about any pharmacy and grab pretty much any drug I needed. Not any drug, but just about. But at the same time, flew back and gave him these pills. I'll never forget running back home right after dropping it off. And about 5 to 6 hours later, my mother giving me a call in the wee hours of the morning to let me know me and your dad are on the way to the hospital in an ambulance. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was just at the house. The fear that I felt and me thinking, wait a minute, I forgot he had sleep apnea. I didn't put the two and two together that if we took those pills, that it would actually make his situation worse and could be the probable cause of what was happening right now in my family. And I'll tell you, I drove about 100, 110 miles per hour on that highway that morning trying to get there to make sure that I was able to see my father's face one more time, just to be able to indicate what happened. Did you take too many? What brought you here? And then to my amazement, as I got there and I was able to see that he was conscious and he was talking to me, I asked my father, how many of those pills did you take? And he told me, I forgot to take it. Wow, what a load off my mind that particular morning. But this was an eye-opener for my father. I told him 3 years ago that he may have a stroke. He may have a heart attack. He may fall asleep behind the wheel of the car, which he did many years before and almost took my brother's life. But this was actually my wake-up call and his at the same time of how real this was. Because it's not real until it hits close to home. You can sell these devices, tell everybody about how amazing this technology is, and it's great, and go back to your homes and have dinner and watch Netflix, right? That's typically the pattern that we do. But the seriousness is when it impacts you and family members or someone you love, it changes the whole landscape of everything. And me speaking to my dad that morning and having to have that discussion with him, giving me the necessary responsibilities to take on if he were to pass away, was the most difficult time of my life to have my best friend, my hero, my dad. But being able to convince him that morning to use that CPAP and him to continue to use it up until this day. He was 67 years old when he had that stroke. He is now 76 today. I'll tell you, now getting back from his 14 or 15-mile walking run to start his day after a stroke using CPAP. So does CPAP work? Oh yeah, I'm a believer it works. But more importantly, you have to educate. We have to get people to understand the seriousness of it. And it was a wake-up call for him. And he's been using that device every single night ever since. So I'm grateful for the advancements of technology. I'm grateful for the constant amount of awareness and ways and technology that we can bring to the forefront to bring persons to the understanding of how easy it is to collect this data, but more importantly, how important it is. But lastly, when we take a look at all of our opportunities as individuals, as we work for various companies and we're trying to educate the population of doctors, once again, trying to make a difference in our space, we have to always remember our why. We're all here for a given purpose. And when we take a look at our destiny in our lives, we don't even know where we're going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 30 years from now. But the most important thing is we realize that we were a part of something. Coming together here is one of the most unified approaches, and I'm grateful for this organization that does this from year to year and find the opportunities to rub shoulders and build friends and build relationships along the way. Sometimes some competitiveness comes into play, but at the same time, all in all, we'll be able to look back at the legacy that we've left and the impact that we've had to this world, and left something that obviously that could be improving lives on a day-to-day basis. When I once again take a look at testing and where it's come from, you remember the sleep lab was the only place to get a sleep study. Now today we have technology that can actually provide polysomnography testing in the patient's home, self-administered, on Narrow Health for those who may not know that technology. This is the WatchPak, as we saw, the WatchPak 100, how it's emerged over the years, the WatchPak 200, and now also to the WatchPak 1, a disposable device that you can do it. Considering it's $5,000 to buy that device just 15, 16, 17 years ago, today you can get it for less than 120 bucks. Amazing. The ability to take the WatchPak, the Itamar device that moved into a space of now watermark apnea risk evaluation device, and seeing how that changed the landscape of testing. It's just a testament to seeing just how amazing innovation and technology has come, and then more importantly for you, what we're able to do with it today. And lastly, the technology of being able to provide therapy. As we remember with the old CPAP, how many people remember the REM star? I saw some 20-year plus guys. Remember the tower that was on that thing? Remember, what we had to do to get information from these devices, pulling SIM cards and doing things, and now we have remote patient monitoring, advanced technology, small portable devices that you can take just about anywhere. Well, that was non-existent years ago, and so noisy and big and cumbersome the way that it had to be administered. Probably not something that most people were interested in trying for any particular reason, but it fascinates me to see where we're coming to even conclude that we're doing certain procedures now and implanting things in our bodies to be able to keep our airways open just to help us sustain, obviously, the effects of sleep apnea. But all in all, we're all today understanding that sleep is not just a luxury, it's the fundamental necessity for life. And if we do not understand this and take ownership, because we all know somebody that knows they got this problem. We all know somebody that's got the writing all over the wall with the symptoms that you're dealing with and the lifestyle effects that they're dealing with overnight, tonight, and day to day. And they're partners. And I urge the partners more than anything. They are the true MVPs. They are the ones that can tell you what you're doing in your sleep, because we don't have a clue. We would never have a clue what happens in our sleep unless we have access to technology that allows us to do this today. But everyone always says, I sleep well. I can sleep anywhere. And that's a problem. Because if you can sleep anywhere, you're either doing too much or at the same time very and obviously if that affects your ability to handle machinery or drive a vehicle, even making everyday decisions. And some of your moves may need to be checked at the same time. Because if you're not getting a good night's rest, we know we're not at the top of the game. But what we're going to be able to do is understand that the importance of sleep is going to impact us in a negative way if we don't take responsibility in understanding this. It's not going to happen because of our insurance provider, our doctors, or anybody else but ourselves to make a decision to improve our health by taking a look at sleep health. So as we know, the various conditions of weight gain, hypertension, and diabetes, mental illness, obviously the situations that are affecting children and mothers who are pregnant, this is the outcome of how we're living each day, not understanding the importance of this. But what we do know is that through sleep health, we can reverse these issues. We can get better glycemic control. We can bring our blood pressure down. We can lose a few pounds, but we all can probably stand for some. But at the same time, we're avoiding the motor vehicle accidents, airplane injuries that are taking place. I mean, anybody seen the movie Flight with Denzel Washington? I don't know if that scared you, but I fly planes pretty much every week. I've been doing this for about 17 years now. And I now look every time I walk in to that plane, I want to see who's guiding this plane. I want to see his neck. See that chin, see that neck side, see those bags underneath the eye. Does this guy have sleep problem that I might be able to help keep us safe some way or the other? But at the same time, we're grateful that the FAA is taking this charge and instead of more, society of safety is now making sure that truck drivers and people in the transportation industry have to be tested. And that's opening up opportunities for us to be able to keep us more safe. At the same time, empowering those persons' lives to be greatly improved. So sleep quality influences just about everything. As we were reimagining healthcare, we thought once again these pills and these doctors and these facilities were going to be the answer. We're finding out it's just sleep, just a better night's sleep. And our health and productivity and quality of life stems from the ability to get sleep. And our journey, once again, here together, is not just from a competitive angle or perspective, but collectively, we're all here to improve the lives of many around us, and that needs to be, once again, on the forefront of our minds. So as I've come from the journey of being just an ordinary respiratory therapist, walking the halls and putting on net kits, getting a few intubations in here or there, and doing the CPT as part of my job, I was able to take what I had and be able to move into an era that I'm so excited to continue to walk into each day, and more importantly, make my parents proud. You know, it was such an amazing experience to have that book delivered just 2-3 days ago on the grandmother's birthday, which was October the 1st, was the day it launched. In memory of her and dedication to her and what I witnessed as a child, this impacted my life in a way that I could never imagine. It's making an impact in others today. I've been able to do things I never thought imaginable. I've been on radio shows. I've been on TV. I've been writing articles. I'm here today speaking to you. I'm telling you, I had no idea that this would be possible. And the ability to be able to continue to do this just drives me each and every day to continue to strive to find one more person. Let me find one more person. Let me just find one more person I can talk to about this. And this is what fueled my desire. But remember, with all the advancements in technology, that's amazing. All the advancements and options for therapy, that's also incredible. But without the education, without the understanding, the emphasis needs to be on trying to help people understand the importance of what sleep is, than rather than what's, if you're snoring, you have this problem, that problem. That's a little late in the game when you think about it. And this needs to start from a child. We should all, and I think all of us should probably have some children by this time, right? If you don't, well, hopefully they do. But at the same time, we all are pouring into the future generations of understanding that sleep is a fundamental necessity. So putting your kids to sleep should not be something that's being done as a sense of discipline. Go to bed. Get out of here. We're going to have an adult conversation. Go to sleep. These are the things that we heard coming up as a child. But sitting down and talking to those children, not just about the 3 little pigs and everything else we tell them as a nighttime story, but how important sleep could impact their lives, could change, obviously, their ability to be successful, to have a healthier life, and to be able to have something worth living for, right? The quality of our lives is what's important. So we're advocating, once again, for more education, more ways of speaking to people, couples that we know that are being plagued by this concern. As I just saw just a few weeks ago that 35% couples that are together are not sleeping in the same room. Isn't that crazy? And we're kind of wondering why the divorce rate is what it is. Could you believe it's something as simple as snoring that's keeping them apart? Isn't that crazy? Snoring? Imagine having to sleep on the couch and you didn't even do anything wrong or anything that you can control. You just snore. It is common. We're all dealing with it. But once again, education is the only way that we'll make this impact. And being now in the position that I am, having a voice, having a platform, having generated an organization over the years that is making an impact, who would have thought that 12 years ago that I was bringing a telemedicine approach to the Caribbean islands, using a portal, website, to send information here to doctors in the US that were providing interpretations to these persons in the Caribbean, and then providing the solutions with the very technology that I was trained and learned on in the gaming world is mind-boggling to me. But as we continue to strive, continue to make a difference in every way we can, the Caribbean is my home. And it's become my home over the last 8 years. I'm sure it's a lot of you guys would like to be there as well. And you guys can come on vacation and call me up if you like. But at the same time, I'm wanting to make this opportunity something that is going to last. And this opportunity today, I'm hoping that will resonate in the hearts and the minds of the folks today, that we don't even realize the impact that we're making and how we're reimagining healthcare, taking the steps to improving our sleep as that token to get there. And as those of you that may have been here and been able to hear my story and would like to learn a little bit more about what I've been able to uncover over the years in the ways of sleep, my book is now available on Amazon. I have a few of them up here, and I would like to give whoever at each table has been here longest in the sleep industry. At each table, I can have someone who's there. You can figure it out who has been here the longest. I'm gonna give one book to each person at each table as my token and a gift to you. So don't lie now. It's available on Kindle. You download it. Got ebooks. We have obviously the hardcover and paperback that are now available. And with hope that we would be honest and everybody take advantage of getting one of these books and learning a little bit from this day. But I do thank you. And I once again implore everyone to continue to keep trucking and keep trucking on, because we are the torchbearers. We are the ones that are going to be able to make a difference in healthcare. And we're going to reimagine that once again, sleep was the component that we all came to learn and understand so much more than some other people did. That's going to make the difference overall. I do thank you for your time today.
I'm gonna be real. I would do along with that. I'm here. I think 32. Okay, does. All right. We're gonna have along. 22. 22. Long as it's 27. Anybody 27?
Greg, I think I heard some arguing at a few of the tables. And somebody called somebody a liar. I don't know.
How many years? Yes, sir. Rob? How many years? All right. All right. All right.